Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Transforming Stress Anxiety workshop. We're really excited to be here tonight. There's a few people who weren't able to join us because they're in different time zones down under and in Europe, and some are traveling. So we will be sharing the recording with them. And wonderful to have everybody here tonight. I just wanted to go through a couple of technical things before we get started. So if you haven't used Zoom before, there's a bar along the bottom, a black bar along the bottom. And on the left-hand side, it has a mute button. You can see the little microphone, and when you're talking, it goes green. If you click on it, you can unmute and mute yourself. And beside that is a video on and off as well. If you have to disappear for some reason and you don't want your video on, you can click your video off. A little bit to the right, there's Manage Participants. And if you click that, there's a white box that shows up on the right-hand side. And there's down at the bottom, you can raise your hand. There's a little button to raise your hand. You can also mute there. And then a little bit farther over on the black bar at the bottom, there's a chat. Now, if you press chat and you want to write something into the chat box, it says type message here. Just above that, there's a little blue box that you can either write to everybody or you can write to an individual in the group, just so that you're aware of who you're writing to. And let's see. I think that's it. We're going to do some meditation, and at one point there will be a video, a very short video, 5-minute video that we'll put on screen. So for Linda, who's not able to join us, I don't believe she can see it, but we will have it in the recording, Linda. So you can watch that, and I'll have those out within 48 hours. So welcome, everybody.
So I wanted to start out, I'm going to hold off. I was going to do a little meditation to start, but I know there's a few more people, and I wanted to talk about why this course. Why are we doing it, and why are you doing it primarily? And there's really a pandemic of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in the world right now. So much change is happening. We've got climate change, social unrest, economic, political instability, and so many people feel like their lives are just out of hand. I mean, I talk to people who are retired and feel they're so busy they can't get anything done. So wherever you are on that, this program is really about about using stress as an access for personal and social growth and expansion. And I'll be talking a lot about what is stress and how do we get into it. But the course is really about creating greater presence, greater clarity, greater focus in our lives, and about minimizing distraction and all the mental chatter that we have, and really getting us grounded in our body, in our emotions, and in our head, I guess I should say. So the first question I really want to ask people here in the course is, why are you here? What are some of the things that really call to you? I'm going to do this course a little differently because it's a small course and a lot of people who wanted to do it can't do it. We're going to ultimately make it available as a course that people can just download. So for most of the course, for the first hour, I'll pretty much be talking, and I want to invite you to take notes. Any questions that come up, any particular situations that you have, we're going to go through the first part so that we can have that separate from the sharing and the coaching part, which I want to make sure we respect the privacy and integrity of the course by doing it that way. So that we create a really safe space for people to share deeply, authentically, in a real way. So I hope that's okay for everyone to do it that way. But I'd like you to take a second and really take a look at what what changes, and you might want to, I would suggest you have a notebook or a pad of paper or something by you as we do this course, because I will throw out some questions and we're going to look at a measure of where we are now at the level of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm, and where we get to after 5 weeks of working together. We've got, I think, an amazing course. I'm really excited about it. Sorry there's not thousands of people in it, but I'm particularly excited about it. We not only are going to be doing some really advanced kind of working into, for those of you who haven't meditated, some pretty deep meditations as we go along. Also, we have recorded for today. Each week we'll have 3 different physical exercises that you can do. And Marielle, we went out on the beach today and filmed them. So you'll be able to see the exercises and look at them. And then we'll have a guided meditation. And we'll have that separate for you from the whole course. So what you'll be able to do then is actually just, oh, I want to listen to the meditation again today. And we'll do that. Or, I want to watch those, today they're very simple. We'll have 3 different exercises every week. So we'll make it very simple to be able to do. And I guess let's talk about what to expect, because if you're looking at what you want to get out of the course, then we should look at what to expect this course is about. The whole point of this course is not just to reduce stress and overwhelm and anxiety by increasing our capacity. And that's a huge thing, increasing our capacity. We're going to talk a lot about that tonight. But it's really around this idea of clarity, because there's so much going on, and being able to be still in the face of the chaos. I expect that people will find a greater sense of balance, a greater sense of creativity, focus, and peace of mind out of participating in it. And we're going to do that with some very basic, but also some advanced kinds of thinking, basic grounding, breathing, meditation, and movement techniques. But we'll take it deeper than that and see, well, what are the limiting beliefs of the inner critic of our identity, and how can we use stress, anxiety, and overwhelm to actually transform those into being more spacious, emotionally, physically, and mentally spacious. So there are portals for expanding awareness, for creating more vitality, more resilience in our lives and in our relationships and in our community. One of the words that I love that from the work I did around physics was congruency. What we're looking for is alignment or congruency within ourselves and within our lives. There will be homework in the course. I promise you that if you do the homework, it will give you more time, not less.
Home play. The
home play, Marielle says, the home play. Why is that? Well, Marielle and I every day do 60 to 90 minutes of meditation, but we've been doing it a while. I'm not asking you to do that. But what we find, and I think most people who have a meditation practice, I don't know, I know Linda, I know you have, if you have a meditation, Barbara, of course you have one. So this will give you, we'll start very short, very easy, and we'll build. So you don't have to be doing 90 minutes of meditation every day, but if you do 20 minutes, you're going to find that you actually have more time, not less. And I'll talk about that at the end when we look at it. To get the most out of the course, I recommend keeping a journal, not just on the nights that you're here, but throughout the week. I think it's a very important thing, because when you start to recognize the reoccurring beliefs, the reoccurring patterns in your life around stress, you'll find that there's a very few actually repeating patterns that are not that hard to change, but you need to know about them. So through the day, as you experience stress, we really want you to engage in writing down those things that you recognize. Again, we'll ask you to do 10 to 20 minutes a day of of meditation. And then in the half hour at the end, we're going to ask you to really be coachable, to be open to hearing what's there. So again, write down any questions that you have. And one of the things, as I said in the very beginning, was to have a clear intention as you're starting the course, to really think, what is it that I want to get out of this course? So that's an important aspect. Let's just do a short, very short meditation. And the purpose of this is just to have a marker. And I invite you to inquire into, we're going to just do a couple minute meditation. And I ask you to just inquire into, and I will as we're doing it, to what is your experience right now, your level of stress, and I'll go through the different areas that we want you to look at. So let's just take a second and take a couple deep breaths. Feel your feet on the floor. Just notice your breath as you straighten your spine. Maybe lift your head up a little from the back. And put your right hand in your left palm and just relax into your body for a minute. And then just notice, you can ask your body actually, just notice if you were going to look on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the stress level in your body? Can you feel in your body? Is there any tension and tightness in the body? Just do kind of a short body scan as you breathe into your body, which will relax it, but just notice the level of tension or stress you're physically experiencing. Are you in your body? And just make a note of a number from 1 to 10 in your physical body. And then just take a notice of your emotions. What emotions are present for you, if any? Can you notice them? Can you get a sense of what you're feeling here, being here in this, what it took to get to be here? Just notice any emotions. And again, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're just looking. And we'll go much deeper into these areas as we go on, but this is just a check-in. And then on a mental level, just, is there a lot of chatter going on? Is your mind quiet or still? Notice the voices in the head. Ones that say, what voices? And then we're assigning just a number from 1 to 10. Subjective sense of the level of stress that you're carrying. Your mental, physical, and emotional stress. And just taking a couple deep breaths before we leave this. And wiggle your fingers and toes, and let's just come back when you're ready. Okay, welcome back. So the first question I want to address in this webinar is, what is stress? We have this concept of stress, and it really hides, it obfuscates what's actually going on. It's kind of like saying I'm sick. when you say I'm sick, you actually are an opening for disease to come because it'll be looking for a place to land. It's very different than naming the symptoms. I have a sore throat. I have swollen lips. I have some kind of rash on my lips. I have cancer. Whatever those things are, that's being specific. And it's the same thing with this word we call stress. I'm so stressed. How many people have you heard, or have you heard yourself saying, I'm so stressed, I'm so stressed? And it's really hiding what's really going on, because when we're saying we're stressed, we're saying something is too much. Something is too much. And in order to begin to work with the issue of stress, we want to know, well, what is it that's too much? What is it? So stress, from our definition of stress in this course, is our personal and professional capacity. We're saying that our personal and professional capacity is inadequate to meet the level of challenges that arise from our commitments. So, in other words, it's a lack of capacity. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but some people can only get so much done in a little bit of time, and so many people get so much done in the same amount of time. Why is that? Why does that happen? So stress is really about capacity, and capacity is about our too muchness, too much to do, too much information, too many emails, too much pain, too much suffering. I'm moving too fast. It's too complex. I have too many commitments. It's too complicated. So when we're talking about this issue, we have to begin to look at our capacity. What is it that's too much? And this is one of the things that you want to work with in the journal work, that to begin to look at, well, what's actually happening when I'm saying I'm anxious, I'm overwhelmed, I have too much stress? What is it that I feel in my body? What are the emotions that I'm experiencing? What are the thoughts that I'm having? And to just become more present. The reason we work a lot with mindfulness and meditation is to become more present, so we can create a larger field, a larger capacity to be in the world. And to begin to notice the repetitive actions that occur when we get stressed. How do I act when I'm feeling stressed? What's the repetitive behavior? There's a great story that Suzuki Roshi used to tell. I remember this from back in the 60s, actually. And there was this Zen master named Nanin, and he lived in the Meiji area at the turn of the 20th century, 1800s. And he was visited by this university professor who wanted to know about Zen. And the university professor comes, and of course the Japanese Zen master invites him in and says, would you like some tea? And he says, oh yeah, I'd like some tea. And so he sits down, and the Zen master, he has the cup, and the Zen master starts pouring the tea in the cup, and pretty soon the teacup's getting very close to the top, and the professor's getting a little nervous about it, and he's moving his cup over, and pretty soon it's running over the side of the cup, and then the saucer is filling up, and he says, stop, can't you see the cup is full? And the Zen master says, yes, how can I show you Zen unless first you have an empty cup? And so what we're looking for here is to create empty cups where we really can expand our capacity. And that's what reducing stress is really about for us, that idea. So it's expanding our ability to deal with greater emotion, greater mental, greater physical capacity, so that we can meet our commitments and to meet the challenges we have in our personal life and in our work life. So one of the ways you could look at this course is that we're going to be exploring our I-hood, our identity, our who we think we are that's behind the I am this. You know, who are you? Oh, I'm a teacher. Oh, who are you? I'm a student. Oh, who are you? I'm a housewife. I'm a mother. I'm all these ways that we have our identity. These identities that are formed come from the first 5 or 6 years of our life. And they're primarily given to us by our culture, by our familial patterns, by our ancestral patterns. And one of the biggest things that they're formed by is trauma. We all have early trauma. And it's now we're dealing with cultural trauma. Cultural trauma comes from like slavery or genocide or these kinds of things. So we have a global culture of trauma right now. People are traumatized. We are traumatized. What is trauma? Trauma, another way for those of you who studied shamanism with me know that that's a form of soul loss happens from trauma. Trauma is something that happens when we have an event that happens that scares us, that hurts us in some way. And part of our essence then is pushed down and under. It is pushed away. So it results in these patterns of how we deal. Men are scary. Women take advantage of you. Women will hurt you. Life is hard. Money is scarce. All of these things, many of them, most of them that are repetitive patterns start with some kind of trauma, which is totally appropriate for being a 4-year-old and somebody yells at you and shutting down to protect your tender identity, your inner tenderness, right? So these things are totally appropriate to suppress our joy, to suppress our ability to relate without being afraid to others. All of these things that happen in these first years of our life that formed our identity were totally appropriate. Now, at 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60, they're not so appropriate. But they're patterns that are invisible to us. They are locked into our identity. So this is why we say that stress is an opportunity, an access, a portal for our development, for actually growing. So when we get stressed, if we can hold it, well, this is a really good thing. This is an opportunity for me to become more mindful so that we realize that our identity is not fixed. And it really is not fixed. I mean, it's so not fixed that the latest findings in science and epigenetics are showing that we can even change our genes. Our genes are not determining our life. It's at that very microscopic level that we find that we can create new neural pathways, that we can change our genes, that we could heal. But just basic patterns like we have around relationships or money or different fear patterns, we can also do that. And stress is an access to that. And so we move from this fixed identity, which is why we do the meditation and the mindfulness work. We move from a fixed sense of I, a self-centric view of the world. In other words, self-centric view of the world. I'm over here and the world is out there, and that's really the world. But we know that other people see the world completely differently. So is that really the world out there? It's only a reflection of the identity and the beliefs that we have shaped through our developmental period. Some of them are ancestral and have been handed down. I think that one of the really fascinating things for me about this area is that when we heal these traumas, these early traumas that are locked in our bodies, our emotions, and our mental constructs, when we heal them, we also heal the ancestral patterns as well as the future ancestors, the people who will come after us. I like calling them future ancestors because from a quantum perspective, the time is just a circular pattern. We don't have to get into that. That's a whole nother area that you can look at some of my other things when I talk about that. But the point is that we want to move from being our identity to stepping into being a witness of our identity. So this entire time that we're going to spend for the next 5 weeks will be about learning to separate ourselves enough to witness the triggers that cause the repetitive patterns that cause us to be in stress and not have a life we love, basically. And it will leave us with the freedom to reinvent ourselves and to create new patterns, new neural pathways, new ways of healing illness in our body. So we're working here with a mighty adversary called our identity. We think we are that. We really do think that when we say I, we are that person. And one thing to know why I say it's a mighty adversary is that your identity has one purpose and only one purpose. And that's its own survival. And when we can get separated from our identity and become a witness of our identity is when we go, oh, wait a minute. I'm watching that behavior over here. I'm not that behavior. I'm the witness of that behavior. We suddenly have a huge freedom from the trauma experiences, from our habitual way of being in the world, from the patterns that, again, were appropriate when we were 3 or when we were 5. You know, some people have to be cute in order, you know, that's how they compensate. Some have to be strong. Some have to be whatever. But these are all patterned ways of being. And so we want to get to a place where we are conscious at the level of being a witness to the patterns that make up our I-hood. And this is the opening for growth. This is the possibility for stepping into the vast potential of all possibility. And, you know, I talked a lot in the quantum series about that, about the field of possibility and what the metaphor that quantum physics is providing for us. But this is getting real basic here. We don't need to get into quantum theory about it. There's a thing that one of my postgraduate courses I did in organizational development was a Gestalt course where I had a really great opportunity to go to different countries and work in different cultures with many different languages and people in different places around the world, particularly in Europe and the Middle East. And there's a paradoxical, the Gestalt paradoxical theory of change. And this is a really important thing to embrace, and we'll be doing it in different ways as we go through here. And that theory basically says that change occurs when one becomes what one is, not when one tries to be what one isn't. In other words, we're always trying to fix ourselves, right? We're trying to get better. We're trying to grow. And yet the very fixing and the trying to get better is the very barrier that keeps us from naturally creating the conditions for growth. If I say, I want to be better at being with people, so I'm going to try hard to be with people. But the more I try, the more I've separated myself. When we try to change the feelings and the thoughts that arise, we reinforce those feelings. So this theory says that change doesn't occur through, and it's not just a theory, I practiced it for a lot of years, when change doesn't occur through coercion, through persuasion, through effort to try to be something other than what you are and what's happening. Change occurs when you can be with, you abandon, just for a moment, when you abandon what you'd like to become and instead become what you authentically are, because that creates the grounds and opportunity for real change to become more apparent, more available. You let go of the role in the I-hood of change agent, and then we can really make meaningful, coherent, and systemic change. It becomes possible because you create the conditions we have. So much of our time, we're in the chat room, the inner critic. And then we try to push those away. We try to dissociate. We try to suppress our feelings. We try to do that with our feelings. We even do that with our body. So many of us aren't even fully in our body. We live in an imaginary body. I mean, I know this from 30 some years of working in the corporate world. I used to say I work with heads on sticks. They use their body to carry their head from meeting to meeting. But the body is almost imaginary. They're not, unless they have an ailment or a pain or something breaks, we're often not really in tune with our body. The same with our emotions. Some people are so, this has been a hard one for me. Is, what am I feeling? I don't actually, well, yeah, I'm angry. Okay. And I'm sad. You know, some people, maybe that's all the access that we have for our emotions, angry and sad. But there's a whole, beautiful tapestry of emotions that's available to us. And when we can expand our capacity, we have a greater repertoire, a greater ability to feel those emotions. And it's the same in the mental chatter. I forgot how many, it varies. It's something like from 12,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day. 12 to 80,000. I mean, the science is all over the place and what constitutes a thought. But the point is we have a lot of thoughts. What has been measured is, number one, that 80% of those thoughts are reoccurring, and 92% of those thoughts are negative, are about self-doubt or not enough or I need to fix something. That's a lot of thoughts. So we're really looking to increase not just this is not about just stilling the mind. This is about creating a greater capacity. So in order to do that, we need to get a sense of where we currently are. And again, that was why we had a little marker at the beginning. I'm going to do a larger meditation in a little while. Actually, I'm going to do one. I just want to think if there's anything I haven't covered. Remember, write down any questions that you have, and I will answer them, or we'll do some live work with this at the end. So I'm going to do a meditation with you to do a deeper check on where your capacity is. So we're going to, similarly to the first short meditation we did, I'm just going to invite you to let your breath take you into your body. And this will be a guided meditation. Again, this will be a meditation that you might want to do through the week. So let's get yourself in a comfortable position. Feel your feet on the floor. And just begin to take your breath more deeply into your body. Just into the simplicity of just sitting. Just feeling your inner body awareness. Get a sense of your capacity. Do you feel your body sensations? Notice any thoughts and emotions. And just notice the inhale and the exhale and relax. And feel the air, experience the air coming in through your nostrils. And going out. And feeling your feet on the floor. Just feeling into your body. Feel the energy flowing through the body, the aliveness. Notice any parts you can't feel, just pay attention. Notice that. Connecting with sensations in the body, feeling your feet on the floor. Just do a scan through your body. Notice your hips, your chest, your heart area. Relax the shoulders, arms. Notice any tingling in your hands. Any tension in the body, and if there's tension, just bring your awareness to the tension. Any tight places, bring your breath. You can just follow. Imagine the breath just going into those places. The energy follows the breath. And just allow things to be just as they are. Don't try to change anything. You're just observing your body as it is. Natural breath. Noticing what's going on in the body. Taking a few deep breaths. Feeling yourself fully in your body. Relax the jaw, muscles around the eyes. Just being here in your body. And then taking a moment to look at your emotional world. How do you feel emotionally? Notice whether you feel a sense of expansion or contraction, and what emotions you're feeling right now. Sad, happy, shame, anger, bored. Just be aware of what you feel, or be aware of perhaps you don't feel anything or can't find your feelings. Notice if there are some feelings that you resist or try to avoid. Which ones do you want to hold on to? Joy, happiness, ones that you're strongly attached to. Just notice that, or addicted to. I need to be happy. And just noticing our capacity to feel our emotions. Can you name them? They can be very nuanced. So just breathe into that emotional capacity. And then set your intention to explore your mental landscape. What's happening in the chat room? Is it busy, quiet? Does your mind feel like it's open, or inspired, curious, wonderment? Is it a creative space? Space for innovation? Or is it tight, contracted, short thinking, repetitive? Just noticing, is it actually open to new possibilities? Notice the activity. Sometimes in stress, the mind becomes very active, trying to solve the problems we create. Just listen in. Perhaps you'll hear some problems that you're dealing with. Just exploring the mental landscape. What part of you hosts your thoughts? Where are those thoughts coming from? Notice any beliefs. Where your perceptions come from. Where do your feelings and body sensations come from? What's listening? Who's listening? Where does listening come from? And just sitting in the question, seeing if you can just let yourself be with whatever arises. Thoughts, sensations, emotions. Nothing to do or be, just sitting in awareness. Sitting in presence. See if you can experience a sense of inner spaciousness. Listen to the quality of awareness. Is it flowing and smooth? Is it tight or frenetic? Is it empty? Just listening with your whole body. Deep listening. Presence. Taking another minute to just listen deeply with all your faculties. I'm here. Whoever I is, there's presence. There's aliveness. that sense of calm and ease. Nothing to do. Nowhere to go. Just watching, listening. Being here. Taking a couple more deep breaths. And as you're ready, wiggle your fingers and your toes and begin to bring yourself back into the room. Great. Welcome back. So that's a beginning. That's a start. Some of you may never have done meditation before, and some of you I know are old hands at it. So I just want to review the distinctions that we're working with tonight are the distinction of capacity, our mental and our physical and our emotional capacity, because we need to expand our capacity because stress is something is too much. And we want to discover what the too muchness is. So the other couple other distinctions that we've covered, the Gestalt paradoxical theory of change. We want to allow ourselves to be with, really ultimately we want ourselves to love whatever is arising, the good, the bad, the ugly. Can we embrace that? Can we love that that's arising? Which is the only way that we really create the conditions for change. So we have our I-hood, and then we have our witness. And we're going to be working with these things. We want to play a little video for you now that Marielle and I did out on the beach today, this morning. And the purpose of each week, we will give you 3 very simple Tai Chi or Qigong exercises, really simple. Like these are simple, you can do them in the grocery line or at the bank, just standing there. Each week we will build on those, and you at the end will have a library of 15 different easy exercises to, when you start to go away or get triggered, come back with these exercises.
Okay, so before we start, if everybody could stand up, because we're going to be doing some standing work. So you want to be able to see the screen, but have a little bit of space in front of you so you can stand and have just a little bit of room for movement. So we're just going to do some exercises. So starting with your feet together. And we're going to go into a standing meditation. And this you can use when you're anywhere in town, you're in a bank line or in the grocery store. You can use this position to drop into your body. And what it does is align the spine so the energy really flows smoothly. So it's a wonderful thing to practice anywhere, anytime. So start with your feet together, just stepping out to the left. And you can have a look down and just make sure that your feet are parallel. So you don't want to have your toes out or in. So having a little look, and they're hip width apart. So really feeling your feet on the ground, wherever you are, you know, squeezing your toes a little bit, getting that sense of the earth underneath you. Just bending your knees a little bit, so your knees are slightly flexed, they're not locked. And you want to drop your sacrum, so it's not a pelvic tilt, but a dropping, so the lower body is sinking into the earth. And the upper body, you've got this string that's going up through the center of your body, and it's reaching up to the heavens through the top of your head. So it's like a string was attached here, and it's just pulling upwards a little bit. And that really aligns the spine nicely. You've got these little energy balls that are underneath your armpits, so your arms aren't stuck to your body like this, but just relaxed, and a little bit of space in here. Okay. Your eyes are just a little veiled, so you can have them just softly veiled. And your tongue is on the roof of your mouth, just behind your teeth. So from this position, this is called Wuji. From this position, we can do something called pouring, which is really just a very simple exercise. Again, you can do it in the bank or the grocery store lineup. And it's working with the fluids in the body, so the blood and the lymph fluids in the body. And it's very simple. You're just very slowly moving from one foot onto the other. So all my weight is on the right foot now. And then slowly pouring into the left side, moving from side to side. And the knees are flexed, so you're a little bit lower. Pouring, really working the fluids. And breathing, nice deep breaths at the same time. Good. And then the next exercise is kind of fun. It's really shaking, it's working with the blockages in the body. So you can raise your hands like this up above your head. You can go up in your toes if you have the balance. If not, just keep your heels down. A little flex, and you start shaking. And you can do this very gently. It can be a gentle shake. So letting the hands loose, letting the wrists go. This is wonderful if you're working on the computer a lot or doing any kind of repetitive motion with your hands, your wrists. It's a wonderful release. Shaking, breathing. And you can make some noise just to let all that energy release. Again, a little bit of pouring from one side to the other. And then if you like, you can work down from the top of the head, just paying attention to all the different body parts. So, moving your head a little bit, and your neck, shoulders, elbows and the wrists, and your chest and your back. Moving with the hips a little bit. Knees, ankles, toes. And then coming to a still point, back to the original standing position. And just breathing and sensing the tingling in your body. Just do a little scan and just feel how there's a difference between before we started and now.
We're going to open up the sharing part, and then at the end I'll go over some of the home play. I'd like to open it up for questions and sharing now. Before I do that, I just want to say something about confidentiality. We're really big on confidentiality. I know people are all over the world here on several continents. So all I'm saying is that stick with your own experience and what happens, or if you share something, it's about what happened for someone else without saying any names or anything. I think that's obvious, but I want to have a really safe space for people to go deep in this work with us. We'll go as deep as you're willing to go. So does anyone have a question or anything they want to share about their experience, either doing the Qigong moves or about the meditation? Anything you'd like to say to share with us? I know it's a small group, but that means you all get to share. So if you don't share, I'll call on you. So okay, anyone have anything or any area of coaching you'd like around the whole idea of dealing with too much, dealing with stress, overwhelm, and anxiety? Oh, please, Amelia. Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Amelia. Welcome. It's so
I'm
great to be with you.
rather amazed that that I have not thought about capacity building outside of a professional context before,
Mm-hmm.
and looking forward to reflecting this next week on what seems so obvious, but I've never applied it to my own spiritual practice. So, and
Yeah, it's amazing how many people haven't, and it's really a huge thing. So we'll be doing a lot of work to expand our capacity. Yeah, thank you, Amelia. It's lovely to meet you. We haven't met before in a class, so thank you so much. It's
I'm
wonderful.
grateful to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. And Brianna, you had your hand up too, didn't you?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Hi. Yeah. I'm so happy to be doing this. I've actually never done any type of online, like, international workshop or course like this before. I really loved what you shared about I think it was the theory. I can't remember the man's name.
Well, Gestalt is a form of psychology. Fritz
Okay.
Perls was the teacher, and that's one of my areas of study was Gestalt. But it's really true that it's so important that when we try to change, we don't realize we're reinforcing the very pattern we try to change, especially when you realize that everything is always happening now.
Right.
If it's always happening now, then you want to be here with what's happening now, and that creates an opening for change to happen simply by observing or recognizing patterns. Then you'll stop doing them. But if you keep forcing yourself to try to do it, you just keep making it harder and harder, which is why so many people get crazy and stressed over, wanting to improve.
Yeah. I mean, it's perfect. It lines up perfectly with kind of what occurred to me over the last week, just through like a big relationship ending. And I noticed how I basically stopped loving myself, and I stopped like accepting myself. And so it really tuned into that. So it was really perfect. It makes me feel like I'm exactly where I need to be. And I'm really, really grateful to be here also.
Oh, it's so perfect. And I love what you said, particularly I want to underline it. When these things that are unwanted arise, my question is, can you love that? Like you think, I don't have any money, and I love that.
Right. Yeah.
I just broke up in my relationship, and I love that. Can we embrace those parts of us? Thich Nhat Hanh used to say, can I love my little anger? So it's really the practice. Ultimately, that is the practice of this work, what you're saying. Can I love everything that arises? Because it allows it to dissolve. It doesn't have a hold over the psyche anymore when we can love it.
Right.
When we push it away, it's got power on us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's perfect. Amazing.
Great. Thanks, Brianna. What else? Diane, did you want to say anything? We'll unmute you here. There you go. Hi, Diane.
Hi.
Great to have you here.
This is also my first time to use Zoom, and I was off and on. I lost you and then got back. So there's a fear right there. That causes stress right there, which is one of the main things I work with, is not feeling isolated by not accessing these kind of workshops. So the meditation was wonderful. And I found all kinds of sore spots because I did a Qigong class for the first time this morning.
Oh, that's great.
And that is what returned after 3 years of not doing that. So it's interesting to me to think about not criticizing the sore muscles that I have, and the fatigue that I have. And the fear that I have around sleep apnea and not breathing well at night. Boy, those are the big stressors.
So I want you to say this, Diane. I have sleep apnea and I love that. Can you say that?
Okay.
And feel it in your body.
Okay.
Feel it in your body when you say it.
I have sleep apnea and I love that. Wow.
Say it again.
I think I have to work on it. Okay. I have sleep apnea and I love it. Okay.
Can you feel? What do you feel in your body?
Oh,
when
I
you
feel resistance all the way up and down my sternum. Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
underneath. I can
Yeah.
feel myself wanting to cry. Yes.
Yeah. Great.
Mm.
And if you
Okay.
look at that resistance and feeling up at the spine, the feeling up and down the spine, you'll actually begin to notice that there's more space,
Okay.
because mostly you're resisting the resistance to it. So the first thing to do is to love the resistance to it that arises. And as you
Okay.
work with that, you'll see, you'll be able to feel it. I promise you that as you do this work, you'll be able to feel more spacious in your body, more spacious in your thinking and in your emotions as you do the practice. So it truly is a practice. Yeah,
Yes.
just try it.
Okay.
I don't
I will.
expect you to believe anything I say. I only want you to try it on, okay? That's really the practice here, is just
Well,
try it on, see what
yeah.
happens.
Well, I know it works eventually because I remember trying Louise Hay's exercise about looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you every morning. And initially I would say it years ago and I would laugh because it felt so ridiculous because I didn't believe it. And then it probably was 10 years later, I came back to it and I actually could say it and mean it. And so it works.
That's
Even
brilliant.
when I wasn't actually practicing it, I was doing other things in the interim, but they all kind of add up. Yeah, it's all kind of many ways to get to the top of the mountain, as they say. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm so glad you're with us. It's really wonderful to have
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Barbara, anything you want to say, my friend? You gonna unmute?
Yeah.
Barbara. Okay.
Just this month, I've really got serious about a meditation practice again. And it's really surprising to me that some mornings it's just tranquil. And then the next day, I'm so agitated I can hardly sit there. And I have no idea why. It's like, the days are pretty much the same. But I'm in a state now, I kind of feel like quitting everything. Not the meditation, not you guys, but all my projects, because I overload myself. I have so many interests, and I keep thinking sooner or later, and it's getting later, one will pull ahead, and I'll say, this is what I want to do. This rest of the stuff I'll set aside. I'll give the tools for that to somebody who wants to do it, that kind of thing. But it hasn't happened. And I've had this where I just keep saying, oh, I want to do that. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in that. So people say, oh, I'm bored. I'm not interested. I have the opposite problem. I'm just, the world is so vast and there's so much neat things to do. So then I overwhelm myself and it crashes and I start over. And this has been a lifelong period and I'm kind of getting tired of it. So hoping I can straighten myself out a little, but I'll resist that, I guess.
Yeah, well, no, I notice that I'm hoping I can straighten this out, and I love that.
Yeah.
And I notice I'm resisting all the things I have to do, and I love them all. And I love that. It's really just that little statement will cause space to happen.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do, it's the identity that is running the show. We want to make the heart the master, not the head. So all of these things that we're doing is manifestations of our identity. It thinks it's in charge. And really, it needs to be the servant, not the master. So when we drop into our body and get more spacious, you find that, particularly this area, no, my heart is the master. I have three brains. I have my gut, my heart, and my head. This is by far the most powerful one. The Heart Institute, it's not the right name. HeartMath Institute, thank you, has done a lot of measurements and things. And the electromagnetic field of the heart, of this area, the heart brain, is 5,000 times more powerful than the head. 5,000 times. And I forgot the electrical. So that's electromagnetic. The electrical is less, but it's still like hundreds of times more powerful of the heart to the brain.
Hmm.
So we've taught ourselves to live up here, and really up here isn't accurate, but I'm not going to get into that. We'll do a whole session on that probably. But yeah, so really dropping into our body. And I think it's a really good practice when we're working with the body is to, when we have a lot of things on our plate, like you're talking about, to ask our body. And you will begin to notice more and more that a yes is more spacious and a no is more contracted. So we have a really powerful instrument, and mostly we don't pay attention. We override it with our ego, with our identity. So yeah, that's great. Thank you. Linda, anything you want to say?
Can you hear me?
I can, loud and clear. Hi, darling.
Can you
How are
see me?
you?
I'm good. Can you see me?
No, I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Oh.
Aren't you on the phone?
Yeah, I'm on the phone. But yeah, this was such a great reminder of how to be back in the body. Because today I've been beating myself up all day because I'm usually a very rational left brain kind of person, or right brain. I can't remember right now. I'm a little ungrounded. But I fell prey to a scammer today. And I knew better, but somehow it was so real. This person from Medicare called me and said they needed to send my permanent card, and all of it, was so real, and they had my information. And so I ended up giving them a couple of pieces of information, which didn't quite feel right in my stomach, but I don't know why I did. Then when we got off the phone, I called Medicare, and it turns out it is a scam that these people have been trying to bill Medicare for braces and other things inappropriately. So I reported it. Then I had to call the FTC and some other places, but the entire time I was beating myself up because I'm the most logical, suspicious person, and I did this. And my body was like contracting, afterwards. And I was feeling it. But somehow, the body just started reacting. So everything you're saying makes total sense to me.
And it's my hope, Linda, and you're a meditator too. I know we have the same teachers. My hope is really at the end we'll have more capacity to say, and this, and just
exactly.
without all of that, and this. And of course,
exactly.
When you're in your body, you would pick up on that most likely. Every time in life when I've gotten myself into trouble, whether it's in a relationship or in a financial situation, in a business situation, I have to say that there was a point that I knew I was making a mistake. If I look back, my body said, don't go there. We hired somebody a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. Everything in my body said no, but he was an expert and was going to take us on this, journey that we would expand and things would grow, and it was a total disaster. And we spent hundreds, thousands of hours. and it was right there in the beginning. It was just right there. So yeah, so that's really important. Thank you so much all for sharing. I'm, there's good news about having a small group, and there's bad news, and that is you really have to share. And the good news is you really have to share. So Linda knows that I've been studying, one of my teachers is Thomas Hübl, and this is an area that I've worked a lot with him and really enjoy his work. And he has a quote that I wanted to share, and Marielle will send this out to you with the videos and everything. But he says, stress is always an invitation, either to integrate unconscious material that creates difficulties in our life or to develop new capacities. Stress is an opportunity to change, develop, and grow. And that's Thomas Hübl. And, like I said, we're doing an amazing course with him now on meditation and mediation with him and William Ury, which is just amazing. Just started recently. So, is Anne here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, Anne. I thought you had dropped off. Anne and Ray are still on?
Yeah.
I don't have you on my screen for some reason.
Can you hear us?
Oh, now I can hear you. My apologies. Yeah, welcome.
We are here.
I don't see your video, but I hear your voice.
We have no camera. We're on the computer.
We did this on the PC that has no camera, so.
Well, welcome. It's good to have you. Anything you want to say, share, or any questions you have? Or I'm sorry, I couldn't see you on my screen, so I thought you had fallen off.
I was applying this to two different things: stress with work, and the thing about, okay, I have a manager. I wish she wasn't my manager, and now I'm going to add, and I love that.
Yay! Those people that are thorns in the sides are our greatest teachers, Anne.
Okay, and then the other stress thing for me is the cell phone. So it's like I gotta mute my phone when I'm at work. I turn it back on my lunch break. I mute it again. Then I come home and I forget to unmute it. I also got it. It's just the stress, like the resistance of having to deal with that. So then it showed up today because Ray couldn't get a hold of me. And so like that is a stress thing to say. I'm not really willing to say I love that, but
why not? Why not? What's the payoff in holding on to that?
Because I guess it's like I get to keep making like the phone system wrong or something. There should be some other way to manage this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the cost?
Just not being present.
Yeah. Listen, all of this resistance is the resistance to what is. We tend to live in a should-be world, and that's not the world we're in. We don't live in a should-be world. We live in an is world. This work is about getting connected to what is and opening to what is. But we live in this world that resists what is. It pushes it away.
Yeah.
It's like crazy making, you know, but we all do it. It's what you're saying is such a brilliant example of what we do all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can see that crazy making. Yeah. So I'm allowing that to. Yeah, have that energy. Yeah.
So, Anne, when we say I love that, it kind of pulls the rug out from under us. So I want you to say, I have difficulty with my phone and I love that. Say that and pay attention to your body.
Okay.
Or whatever is true for you about your phone. You can call it names. You can even swear here because we're not sharing these.
I think I want to say, I resist my phone and I love that.
Okay, say it again.
I resist my phone and I love that.
And how does that feel in your body?
Feels like less tense. My body feels
exactly
tight. Yeah.
And what happened with your breath? I heard it in the second time. What happened to your breath?
well, I was contemplating, my breath was not coming out.
In the first one, but in the second one, what?
Uh,
Do it again. Do it again.
I resist my phone, and I love that. So I really didn't notice anything about my breath, but you did. So
I did. Yeah. There was more breath.
okay.
The
So,
first one was very constricted. The second one had more breath.
mhm.
And that's a key to the work we're going to be doing. For those of you just starting on, if you do nothing else in the meditation, I did a write-up today, a very simple write-up. We'll just send it to you on having a sitting meditation practice. I'm recommending for the homework that we do 20 minutes a day. For some people, that sounds like a lot. For me, that would barely get me settled in. For those of you who meditate, that's not a really long time, but 20 minutes is a nice, pretty easy time to take, and just sit. And the key is to sit and watch your breath. It's really the whole thing. I'll be giving you deeper and deeper meditations and more distinctions to work with as we go along. But the truth is, it's really about sitting and observing your breath. And that allows you to then check into your mind, check into your body, check into your emotions. And you'll begin to, with the breath, notice, first of all, where you're stuck. And secondly, the breath, you can open those areas with the breath. We'll get to that, session 3 or 4. We'll keep going with that. So one of the, as Marielle likes to call it, home play, is to do the 20 minutes and then to recognize and journal when you experience stress, anxiety, and overwhelm, and just ask yourself the question, too much of what? That's all there is to do. Too much of what? Oh, my phone. Oh, too much of what, Anne? So when we do that, we just ask that question and then write it in the journal. And you'll begin to see definite patterns that will be beginning to emerge. Very powerful. So write it in your journal and just notice. The third part of that is really to notice any repetitive patterns that surround your experience of stress. And then, use the journal as we go. So there's a wonderful poem that I love by David Wagner, and each week I'll probably, usually I'll have a poem. If I don't, then I'll come up with something else. Maybe I'll sing. No, Marielle wouldn't let me do that, would you? Maybe Marielle will sing. But there's a poem by a poet, actually a professor from University of Washington from the Northwest, and it's the answer to the question that a native child would ask a grandfather, an elder, because in the Northwest you have these huge canopies of the old growth trees, and so the young person says, "What do I do when I'm lost in the forest? What do I do when I'm lost in the forest?" And the grandfather says, "Stand still. Stand still. The trees ahead and bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is called here, and you must treat it as a powerful stranger. Must ask permission to know it and be known. The forest breathes. Listen, listen. It answers, I have made this place around you. I have made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again saying, here, no two trees are the same to raven. No two bushes are the same to wren. If what a tree or a bush does is lost on you, you are surely lost. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. You must let it find you. That's the essence of tonight, really, for me, is finding that still place. Not trying to get anywhere, not trying to do anything, just find the still place. Take the 20 minutes a day to really be present in your body, feel your emotions, listen to the chatter. Don't try to change it, just be still. Kind of like a cat waiting at a mouse hole for that thought, for that emotion, for that, sensation. Just be there, like you're going to pounce on it, but just be that kind of awareness, bringing it to it. And you'll find amazing things will happen during the week. So I am so absolutely grateful for our little group here. I'm just thrilled to be able to do this. This is very likely my last online webinar. You'll have to come see me in Canada after this, but I will be doing coaching, but I'm going to start working in more with people in groups. So I do have a workshop coming up in May, the first weekend of May, with really deepening practices in sitting, if those of you are interested in that. But thank you so much. I'm so thrilled you're here. And please keep in touch. If you need any support during the week, just send me an email at support, which is Marielle, and she'll send them over to me and keep me answering them, keep me on my toes. So I'm so grateful for this amazing partner that I have, and all the help that she gives me in getting the technology working here. So many blessings. We'll get this out within 48 hours, probably a lot less, but we need to give ourselves some space because we're traveling too. So thank you very much, and good night to you all.
Good
Many
night, everybody.
blessings. Bye.